Sukuna is unstoppable. If I want all the smoke was a person, it would be this man right here. When I read last chapter and I saw that Sukuna was going to court, I really thought he was just going to be out here fighting for his life, sort of like that R. Kelly and Gayle King interview. But before we get started, I'm going to need y'all to hit that like button. I'm going to need y'all to hit that subscribe button. Let's get on with this chapter review. I really thought that Sukuna was just gonna argue his ass off to make sure he doesn't actually get the death penalty. This man welcomed the death penalty with open arms. He actually just sat there and told Higuruma, nah, I'm actually more interested in that sword you got though, in a non-weird way. You know what I'm talking about. And the way it's actually set up, right? I mean, when you go to court, both sides tell their part of the story. And I mean, it comes down to the judge to decide who's guilty and who's not. Higuruma's pretty much trying to explain the situation, talking about Yuji's and the real culprit, and it was actually Sukuna. Sukuna cuts him off and literally just says, bruh, I've been heard all of this. I don't care what I did, when I did it. Let's wrap this up. The confidence and the conviction in this man's words should honestly just be studied, because you can tell he does not have an ounce of remorse about what he did. Now, I mean, he's a villain, of course. He's an antagonist, bet, whatever. But you know how sometimes when you watch shows, right, and then there's usually a villain, and then they tend to have this moment of reflection, thinking, maybe I went a little too far and whatnot. Sukuna is built different and constantly shows why he stands at the pinnacle of strength. At the moment of interruption, Higuruma's eyes just light up. I don't think he's ever dealt with a situation, actually, not even that I don't think he has, I know he hasn't, where somebody's actually trying to get the worst possible conviction, which would be the death penalty and confiscation. You know it's a problem when the antagonist and the protagonist want the exact outcome, but in this situation specifically, the outcome actually being the best chance of killing Sukuna. Sukuna's casually just looking at Yuji and Higuruma like, word, y'all thought y'all was gonna get me? Gojo thought the same thing too. And we know where he at. Too far? Probably. So the situation gets drastically worse, right? Confiscation does happen, but it isn't Sukuna's technique, it's actually his cursed tool. Gojo's the strongest opponent that he's fought so far. He didn't even use it against him. He barely used it against Kashimo. Kashimo got washed in one chapter. And I'm looking at Higuruma and Yuji, and I'm like, okay, he's not using his cursed tool, but I mean, he still has his techniques. This is about to be a whole problem. The twists and turns that Jujutsu Kaisen takes just makes for such an amazing story, because you can't even predict what's even about to happen. At this point right now, Kenjaku's allegedly dead. I don't think he's dead, but I mean, from Yuta actually cutting his head off and whatnot, but I mean, we've seen the same thing happen to Jugo, so whatever. You see, in this situation specifically, you've been sentenced to death and confiscation. Do we know what's being confiscated? Well, does Sukuna know in that moment? No. But should he be worried? Probably. What makes it even more comical is that the only thing Sukuna has to show in this scenario is actually a smirk. It's not even a smirk, it's more than that. It's a Joker smile. This man actually has a sense of excitement knowing that this is the outcome. I feel like this smile is really just for style points. And then the moment the domain expansion is done, Choso's there, Ino's there, Kusakabe's there, Yuji's there, Higuruma's there. And it's crazy because Higuruma just has this sense, not even a sense, but this moment, almost like a reality check. Like, I'm not even sure who even said it, but it was like, do you have a death wish? Sukuna's surrounded, and it's funny because I just don't see any way that these guys are winning. Y'all gonna need the Bible or a senzu bean or something. And that's with the assumption that Kenjaku's actually dead, to which I definitely don't think he's dead. Hakari really got that drip. He got the windbreaker on with the baggy pants and, you know, the J's on too, and I mean, he's looking kind of nice. He's also also very nice in taijutsu too. Like, this man is not a scrub. Uraume is definitely Sukuna's second in command because they're almost talking in the same realm. Uraume basically states that, you know, retaining your humanity makes you weak. And it's along the same realm as what Sukuna actually states, because Sukuna criticizes Gojo and Kashimo for trying to relate to others while also trying to be the strongest at the same time. Like, those ideas are on two polar ends of the spectrum, to the point where you can't have it all. You can have one or the other, but you can't have both. And in Sukuna's mind, he personally believes that you don't need love. You don't need that sense of humanity at all. But I think Yuji will be the one to show him that sense of love and that sense of humanity that he's been living without for so long. Yuta has a similar conversation with Hakari, which is interesting because Yuta actually does have the same desire as Gojo, which is to have a connection or to be able to relate to others. Because, I mean, Yuta was cursed and he avoided human interaction. Well, not even human interaction, but connecting with other humans as a result of being cursed. So I think the way this is going to wrap up is that, from what I see, the fight's about to escalate. Uraume's going all out. Hakari is hyped. And I mean, I'm definitely excited. I definitely believe that by the end of the fight, Uraume will be taught that relating to others and that sense of humanity and love aren't weaknesses at all. Hakari will definitely get a better understanding of humanity and relatability that Yuta was actually discussing with him before in this fight with Uraume. So I definitely feel like they're both going to learn something out of it by relating to and understanding one another. But yeah, to wrap up, I'm not gonna lie, this was a great chapter, just dissecting the concepts of humanity, relatability, understanding others, and just whether that actually is a strength or a weakness for humans overall. I don't really think it's a weakness personally and whatnot. I think it's good to have connections. I think that makes you stronger. I don't really believe in isolating yourself. I just don't think that works in the long run. Gege really knows how to write villains, because at this point in time now, the suspense and the intensity of this fight looks so crazy that I just don't even see how they're even gonna beat Sukuna at this point. Because now just the overwhelming odds that are against them, despite the fact that it's a 5-on-1, we know for a fact that Sukuna's whooping everybody. But I mean, Uraume is an interesting character because, I mean, she's pretty much like just the second in command to Sukuna, so the mentality's the same. But outside of that, that's all I got, man. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later, man. Peace.